All right, Jury Henry.
Please be seated. Call your next witness. Catalina Ruffin Sinclair. Come over to the deputy here, please. Just have a seat, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to ask you, the chair is bolted to the ground. Everybody tries to slide it forward,
Okay.
but I am going to need you to lean into that microphone in front of you a little bit. Bring it down a little. It's a little bit too high. There you go. And you want to be about 2 to 3 inches from it, if you would, okay?
Okay.
If you would lean in, introduce yourself to the jury, and spell your first and last name for the court reporter, please.
My name is Catalina Ruffin Sinclair, C-A-T-A-L-I-N-A, Ruffin, R-U-F-F-I-N hyphen S-I-N-C-L-A-I-R.
Thank you, ma'am. Please proceed.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Do you know Bessman Okafor?
Yes, sir.
How do you know him?
He's my son.
Okay. Going to need you to ask you to speak up a good bit louder than you are. I know it's hard for some people to speak loudly, but this is a huge room. Have you been in here before?
Yes.
This room? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Big room, tall ceiling, a lot of people far away, so try to speak up, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. How do you know Bessman?
He's my son.
Let's see. Is Bessman your oldest child?
My oldest son.
Your oldest son, not your oldest child.
No, sir.
Okay. Who was your firstborn child?
Tikithia
And when was she born? Do you remember?
in 77.
1977?
19, yes.
Okay. Who was her father?
Wayne Grayson.
Do you know where Mr. Grayson is?
California.
Did you ever have, were you ever married to Mr. Grayson?
No, sir.
Did he ever live with you?
No, sir.
Were you and he and Takithia ever together as a family?
No, sir.
So, and then when Takithia was born, were you on your own with her?
Yes, sir.
And who was your next oldest child?
Candace,
When was Candace born?
1980.
Who was her father?
John Thomas,
John Thomas? Do you know where Mr. Thomas is?
deceased.
Did you and Mr. Thomas ever live together as a family?
Yes, sir.
For how long?
About 7, 8 years.
7 or 8 years?
Yes.
Were you ever married?
No, sir.
And how did that relationship end?
Oh, that was so long ago.
Did you leave him? Did he leave you? Did you drift apart?
I moved back home.
You moved back home?
Yes.
From
But we
where?
didn't stay far. Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't stay far apart.
I'm sorry?
We didn't live far apart.
Where were you living when you were had a relationship with him?
With him in Clinton, Louisiana.
In Louisiana? Okay. And is that where you were living when Takithia was born as well?
Correct.
Okay. Is that where you were born and raised? Was Louisiana?
Raised, not born.
Okay. Do you remember when you and Candace's father parted ways?
Not the year, no.
Not, okay. You mentioned you were together 7 or 8 years. Were you together for some time before Candace was born?
Yes.
Okay, so it wasn't 7 or 8 years from 1980 on? It was from sometime in the 70s?
It was I think we parted like in the 80s.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Who was your next oldest child after Candace?
Bessman.
That was Bessman. And what year was he born?
Uh-oh.
1984 sound right?
Yes, yes.
Were you and Candace's father, were you still together when Bessman was born?
No.
Okay, so he was already out of the picture. Had you ever married him?
No.
All right. Who was Bessman's father?
Charles Okafor.
And it sounds like you pronounce it the way his Nigerian relatives do, Okafor,
Yes.
as opposed to Okafor.
Yes. We just go along. When they say Okafor, we just go along
All
with it.
I know the feeling. Where did you meet Charles Okafor?
My hometown, Louisiana.
In Louisiana.
Well, Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge? That's where you were living?
Well, I lived in a little small community called Zachary outside of Baton Rouge.
Okay, but Baton Rouge area though?
Yes.
And was he living there also?
Yes.
Do you remember how you met him?
He was a manager at Church's Chicken.
Okay. And did you work there?
No.
Oh, you were a customer?
Yeah, just ate a lot of chicken.
Okay. And did you and Charles Okafor have a relationship?
Yes.
And did you marry?
Yes.
Do you remember what year you married?
No.
Was it before Bessman was born?
Yes.
Okay. And did the three of you live together as a family?
Yes.
And was that in Baton Rouge?
Correct.
For about how long, well, let me ask it this way. At some point, did you and Charles Okafor break up?
Yes.
Do you remember how old Bessman was when you broke up with his father?
I'm guessing around 2 or 3. I don't think he was over 3.
Don't think he was over 3?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Was the breakup something traumatic? Was there something bad that participated? That's not the right word. or was it amicable?
It was amicable.
Okay. Was Charles a good father?
He was.
Was he and Bessman close?
Yeah. Well, he stayed in his life, let's say it like that, because
I mean,
I
when,
moved
when
on.
you were together.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's not a problem. Yes, I'm
Uh-huh.
sorry.
And was Charles a hard worker?
Yes.
Did he work full-time?
And a student, yes.
And he was also a student. Did he get a bachelor's degree while you and he were together?
Yes.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
Showing the witness defense exhibits 8K and 8L, the general counsel. If you look at those, if you would. You recognize those photos?
Yes.
And who's depicted in those photos?
Bessman and his father.
Bessman and Charles Okafor?
Correct.
Were those taken while the three of you were together?
I don't remember this one of them, but for sure this one.
Okay. So let me again show you just photo AL. Was that taken when you and Charles were together?
Yes, sir.
And offer defense exhibit AL for identification as defendant's next?
No objection. All right, we'll come in as the next numbered exhibit for defense.
Defense number 5.
Thank you.
And I publish to the jury on it.
Yes, sir, you may.
Can you see that photo on your
Yes, sir.
screen, ma'am? And tell us again who's in that photo?
Charles and Bessman.
Okay. Do you know where that was taken?
It looks like our apartment that we first rented.
In Baton Rouge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you know how old Bessman was at that time?
No, he looks like he's under 2, though.
Under 2? Okay. Let me then show you AK. Do you recognize where that photo was taken?
No, sir.
Okay. Is that a photo of Bessman and his father?
Yes, sir.
Is that fairly accurately depict the way they look?
Yes, sir.
Is that a typical pose for them?
Well, they were fond of each other.
They were fond of each other?
Yeah.
Your Honor, at this time I'd offer defense AK as defendant 6.
Any objection? No. We'll come in as the next numbered exhibit.
Defense 6.
Thank you.
I publish to the jury.
You may.
Okay. And again, is that a photograph of Bessman and his father?
Yes. It looks like it. Well, it looks a little like, you know what? I can't tell with that one. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, that's Bessman, is that right?
It looks like Bessman, yes. But now I see it's not my apartment. That's not my apartment.
Not your partner? Okay.
That being said, since we don't really know, I'm confused now whether she's not sure if that's Charles Okafor or not, or if it's just.
Can you clarify that?
I'm just not sure what she's.
I thought the
I'm
issue was
sorry.
just not her apartment, but can she clarify the two people in it?
Is that Charles Okafor in that picture?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Just not your apartment.
They don't know.
Show you what's been marked as AJ. Do you recognize that photo?
Yes, sir.
Is that Charles?
Yes, sir.
Was that taken while you and he were together?
Yes, sir.
What's that photograph of?
Of him standing by a bookshelf, that's my apartment. I remember that picture.
Sorry, speak up a little bit.
I'm sorry. That's my apartment. That was the apartment that we had together.
And offer this as Defense Exhibit 7, Your Honor?
The only objection is it's cumulative. We already have 4 photos, so.
Can I ask another question?
It can come in. The court's going to allow it. It is cumulative, but that's okay. Let it in. Next number exhibit.
Defense number 7.
I'm sorry, may I publish to the jury, Your Honor?
You may.
Already did. I apologize.
You may.
Is that Charles?
Yes, sir.
Are those his school books he's posing with?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you and Charles broke up, didn't Bessman continue to live with you for a time?
Yes, sir.
And was Takithia and Candace living with you as well?
Yes, sir.
And did Charles continue to play a role in Bessman's life?
Yes, sir.
At some point, did you begin a relationship with somebody else?
Yes, sir.
Who was that?
Akpan James.
Do you remember when that was? Or to put it this way, do you remember how old Bessman was when you began a relationship with Akpan James?
He wasn't in school. I know that.
He wasn't in school yet?
No,
No?
no.
You need to say out loud.
I'm sorry. He was not in school.
Okay. Beyond that, can you say how old he was?
I want to say 4, maybe.
All right. Did Mr. James begin living with you?
Yes,
And where was that?
in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge. Well,
Yeah.
we were in Zachary then. Zachary,
In
Louisiana.
Zachary. At some point, did you move?
Yes,
Where did you move to?
Apopka, Florida.
Apopka, Florida? You and Akpan James
And the children.
and, well, Takithia and Candace, right?
Yeah, I had the twins, I think, then.
Oh, by then you had Trenton and Brenton as well?
Correct.
Okay. Did Bessman move with you?
Yes,
He did?
he did.
Did you leave Bessman with Charles' new wife's mother?
Yes. Yes, I see what you're saying. Yes.
Okay. Didn't you do that when you moved to Florida?
I did, but I came back and got him. So,
But when you initially moved to Florida with Akpan James, Catalina, Takithia, Trenton, and Brenton, what did you do with Bessman?
okay, you brought it back to memory. Yes, he stayed with Marsha. I dropped him at Marsha's mom so Marsha and Charles could pick him up.
Okay. Who is Marcia?
Charles' second wife.
And you dropped Bessman off at Marcia's mother's house?
Because I knew them.
I'm sorry?
I knew them.
Say that again?
I knew of them.
You knew of
Marsha's mother.
mother, but you didn't know her, did you?
I didn't know her, like, for a long time, but I knew of her, yes.
Okay.
Like, you get what I'm saying?
Did Bessman know her?
No.
And when you dropped Bessman off, Marcia and Charles were not there, were they?
No.
Where were they?
I think they were like in another town over.
Could they have been in Texas, living in Texas?
Objection calls for speculation. She's answered the question.
If she knows, she can answer.
I know, to be honest, I know at one point they were in Texas, but I can't remember to say now if precisely they were, I can't say yes or no.
Okay. Did you leave anything with Marcia's mother when you dropped Bessman off at her house?
Did I leave anything?
Did you leave clothing, anything?
I'm sure I did. I mean, I don't remember.
You don't remember?
Had to.
Okay. And when you and the other 4 kids and Akpan James moved to Florida, where did you say you went?
Apopka.
Apopka. And why Apopka?
My mother lived there at the time.
Okay. Whose idea was it to come to Florida?
I think we had came to visit
Uh-huh.
before, and we liked it, so we said, well, let's try it out. So
Okay.
it's kind of both of our idea. We both agree. I think James initiated it, and so I'm like, it's worth a try.
So James initiated the idea of moving to Florida, and you agreed.
And
Yes.
my aunt raised, my mother's sister raised me, and she had died. So I really didn't, I had some family, but not close family there.
Okay. Did you live with your aunt for long when you moved here?
No, my aunt had died in Louisiana where I was staying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My
Who was
mother lived here.
Your mother.
So that was a reason for me to come.
All right. Did you live with her? Did you have your own place?
We lived with her for about a month.
You
We lived with her for about a month.
for about a month. Okay. After you moved to Florida, did you have another child?
I think I had Brent and Trent here. The twins, I think I had them here.
You think you had Brenton and Trenton after you moved to Florida?
When I moved there, I had them here. I think I did. I'm confused.
Okay, could you try to speak up a little bit so they can hear you?
I'm trying to remember if I had them here in Louisiana, but it was, no. I don't know. I had them in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you actually moved here with the girls and Mr. James.
correct.
And then after you moved here, Trenton and Brenton were born.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
And then later, did you have another child
After,
after Trenton and Brenton?
no.
Oh, who's Adorian?
Dorian is Akpan's, is James's son.
Okay.
I brought Dorian here with me.
Oh, so Adorian is older than the twins.
Yes,
Okay. So you moved here with Catalina, or Candace, Takethia, and Adorian.
yeah, I'm not sure if Candace came right away, but because Candace was staying with her father.
Okay. As best you can recall,
Mm-hmm.
who came with you to Florida?
Dorian, Brenton, and Trenton, I know for sure. I think Candace did come.
All right. Well, you're sure it wasn't Bessman, right? You dropped him off at his grandmother's
Yes,
house.
he came later, but yeah, but and Takethia.
What did Mr. James do for a living?
He was a manager in the bakery at Publix, where I don't have Publix.
And did you work outside the home?
Yes,
What did you do?
I always did. Worked in hotels.
Hotel.
The ex-operator.
Who took care of the children when you were both working?
Daycare. I had him in daycare.
Okay.
And when I worked at night, James he watched them.
Did you have money problems when the kids were growing up?
A lot of money problems.
Were there times when you didn't have enough money for food?
Yes.
Did you have enough money to keep them in clothing?
Yes, they had clothing.
Did they have shoes with holes in them?
No, I don't remember that.
I'm sorry?
No, sir.
No? Okay. Did they have to share clothing?
The boys did, yes. Not a lot
And-
because none of them was never the same size, so didn't have a lot of that.
Your voice is starting to drop. Keep it up
okay.
a little bit.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you. That happens.
Did you receive public assistance for the kids, welfare, food stamps, that sort of thing?
Off and on we did, yes.
Did you move a lot?
I don't think I did.
About how many different apartments did you live in when the kids were growing up?
In Florida or Louisiana?
In Florida, once you got to Florida.
When I got to Florida, I stayed with my mom. Then we got maybe 3 times. We didn't move a whole lot.
Maybe 3 times?
Yeah, 3 times.
Is Akpan James Dorian's father?
Yes.
Why is Charles Okafor listed as his father in his birth certificate?
Objection assumed the fact, not in evidence.
I can rephrase.
Please.
Do you know who's listed as Dorian's father on his birth certificate?
I think I got one at home with Akpan on it, but
Could we approach, Judge?
You may. Ma'am, move with you just a minute.
no.
Folks, I was going to give you a break at 11 and then go on to 12, and I'm going to give you a little bit of an earlier break. I need to do something outside of the presence of the jury. So this is your 11 o'clock break. It's just happening at 10 minutes of 11. and we'll get you back in a short time. Please don't discuss the case. Leave your pads on your chairs.
All right, jury, thank you.
Pardon me.
Please be seated. All right, I understand that there's a document that you might be showing her. Let me go ahead and have you proffer testimony at this point. This is a proffer. Yeah, what is the exhibit letter?
Showing her defense exhibit A
Thank you.
N for identification,
Thank you.
which purports to be a state of Louisiana certificate of life.
Okay.
And can I ask you to take a look at that? Have you seen that before?
No, sir.
I'm sorry?
No, sir.
You haven't seen that before?
No, sir. Because unless something happened, the one I have at home has ACPAN on
You didn't see it just the other day? When you were speaking to Ms. McDermott tonight?
it. Who's Miss Mac?
I can't hear you, ma'am. I'm sorry. You need to get closer
I'm
to that
s-
microphone.
Who's Ms. McDermott? The blonde lady sitting there? No. Lisa.
Oh. Yes,
So you have seen it.
yes.
What is it?
It's a birth certificate.
Whose birth certificate?
Well, actually, I can't see the.
Objection, Your Honor. The answer to that question may be information provided by Ms. McDermott, which case it would be hearsay. The question is, she says she doesn't recognize it. She was shown it yesterday.
Well, it's a proffer. So let me get her answer, and then I'll let you cross, and that may come up at that time. Go ahead, ma'am. You can answer the question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Whose birth certificate?
Idorians.
And who's listed as the father?
Charles.
Charles Okafor?
Yes.
Why is he listed as the father?
I remember it was telling me something about his policy.
I'm sorry?
I guess it had something to do with his insurance
Let me
policy.
object because she seems to be quoting counsel and the investigator now. So I think we need to have some precise information in the proffer about what the source of this knowledge is before we start parroting what she's been told by a defense investigator.
And once I'm done, if I haven't covered that, the counsel team.
No, Your Honor, that's,
Well, let's ask non-leading questions first of all, okay? And that way we'll get a little bit to it. So non-leading questions.
Do you know why Charles Okafor is listed as the father?
Judge, it's the same objection, it's the same question.
I thought so. I wasn't sure. It's not a leading question.
She can answer yes or no. She cannot give us any information. She either knows or she does not know, and then we can get into the source.
Yes.
Why is Charles listed as the father?
Objection. Source.
Sustain. If you would, lay a predicate as to how she would know this or where she learned it from.
You know, if counsel wants to do, I thought this was a proper agenda.
It is a proffer. It is a proffer.
That seems like the next obvious question is why is his father? But okay, do you know why Charles Okafor is listed as the father?
Same objection, it's the same question. I don't know why counsel could simply ask her if she's ever seen this document before.
Okay.
If she hasn't, then
Not an argument. The objection is there's not a predicate, proper predicate laid. That's sustained. She needs to explain not why it's on there, but how she has the knowledge that she has. Then we'll get to her disclosing the knowledge. No, it was why is he listed, not how she has the knowledge of what's listed on there.
Do you know why he is listed as the father?
Objection, it's the same question.
I can't ask how she knows unless I know that she knows. Right?
I can shorten this for you.
Okay.
I'm trying to let it break it.
Let Mr. Ashton do his
May I have word iron?
voir dire. Yep.
Had you ever seen that document before you were shown it by Ms. McDermott and Mr. Nacco?
Yes,
Where had you seen it?
here. I mean, not in,
But here, before you were shown it by defense counsel and investigator recently, had you ever seen it before?
no,
So do you have any knowledge of where that document came from other than what you may have been told by Ms. McDermott and Mr. Nacco?
no.
No further questions.
May I ask
You may ask a question.
Did you obtain insurance benefits from Charles Okafor by claiming that Dorian was his son?
I claim benefits, but I never knew of, I don't know if I can say that. Can I say-
I can't hear you, ma'am. I'm sorry.
I'll-
You need to get closer.
I claim benefits, but I never knew of this. You understand what? I
He's
don't
not
know.
asking you about that. His question is separate from that.
Did you claim benefits for Dorian by saying that he was Charles?
No.
Did you obtain $30,000 in life insurance benefits for Dorian when Charles died?
Not to my knowledge, I didn't. I claim,
Is it possible you could get that kind of money without remembering?
it's not the money, it's having the fact that Dorian was included. You understand what I'm saying?
How
Am
much money did you get?
I think it was like 50 to 60.
$50,000 to $60,000?
Yes.
What was your understanding of why you got that money?
It, for Bessman.
Just for Bessman?
Yes.
Are you saying you did not prepare that birth certificate or cause it to be prepared?
No.
That's all I have.
On the proffer, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. I submit that none of this is admissible, number one. Number two, this is not listed on the list of mitigation provided by the defense in this case. This is a complete surprise to the state of Florida that any of this is being brought up. I don't believe it's relevant.
Well, let me see counsel at sidebar, please. No, get that. I don't know whether Fran wants it or not, but. You're okay. You're fine. Do us a favor while the jury's come in. How do you spell Marcia? You keep saying Marsh or Marcia. How do you spell that? Do you know?
M-A-R-S-H-A, I think.
M-A-R-S-H-A?
But see, I don't know which one is the legal name.
All I know is what she's saying. I just wanted to get you spelled out.
All rise, your dinner.
Please be seated. Please continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay. All right, we were talking about you and Akpan James and the children living in Florida and the money problems you have, all right? Just to kind of get back up to speed. And I'm going to again remind you to try to speak up as loudly as you can.
Yes, sir.
Okay? How long were you and Akpan James together?
About 6 years, roughly.
About 6 years? Okay. I'm sorry to ask, what was your relationship with him like?
It was pretty good. It was pretty
good? Okay.
Not the best, but it was pretty good. He was a good provider for the children.
He was a good provider for the children? In what way?
I mean, he would take up time with the children because, like I said, I had twins.
Uh-huh.
And he would take up time with his children. And, I mean, he would take up some time with Bessman, too, but he took up some time with the children.
He took time with the children, including Bessman?
Trouble? Left your reading glasses? Do you want to go grab them for just a minute? Go ahead. We'll hold off for just a second. That's okay. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to really get close to that microphone, too,
Okay.
when you're talking, okay? Everybody does it. They drift back a little bit.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Please proceed.
Did Mr. James have an alcohol problem?
Yes, at one point he did.
While he was with you, did he?
Yes.
During the entire time he was with you?
No.
For how much of it?
I'd say half of it.
Okay. On and off? Or, first half or second half?
Second half.
Second, okay. So after the first few years he began drinking, is that what you mean?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did he drink heavily?
Yes, sir.
Was he abusive?
Not much, no.
Didn't he hit you?
He has.
On more than one occasion?
Yes.
Did he do it regularly once he started drinking?
Yeah, but it was basically only when he was drinking.
I'm sorry?
Basically, it was only when he was drinking.
Okay. Did he hit you in front of the children?
I'm sure he have. Yes.
Did you also have verbal fights with him, just shouting matches?
Yes.
Was that a regular thing?
Only when he drinks.
Okay. Was it whenever he drank?
Yes.
What did he drink?
That I don't remember. It wasn't, I don't recall it just being like beer. It was liquor.
Do you know what year it was that you broke up with him?
No, I think it was,
Let me ask it a way it might be easier. Do you remember how old, say, the twins were when did he leave the house? Or did you leave?
I left.
You left with the kids?
Yes.
Okay. How old were the twins when you left?
I don't think they were in school then.
They weren't in school yet?
No.
Okay. Can you give us any better idea beyond that? Obviously, they've been born and...
For his year, I don't remember which year it was, but
Okay. When you moved out, did the money problems get worse?
yes,
Did he provide any support for you once you moved out?
when he wasn't mad,
I'm sorry?
when he wasn't angry.
Okay, so
It
did he
wasn't-
provide child support for the kids once he moved out?
No, but I eventually I put him on child support.
You put in for child support, so he didn't voluntarily pay
No.
child support.
No,
Did he ever provide for Bessman when he moved out?
not just for Bessman, no. I mean, well, once we broke up and I would say about a year passed, he realized he had to get himself together. And he would give me money, but other than the child support, but he wouldn't just say, this is for Dorian or Brenton or Trenton. He would say, this is for the kids.
Did he ever spend any time with Bessman?
Not that I can recall, no.
Do you ever remember him spending any time with Bessman?
No. Only time I think he would have spent time with Bessman if the other three boys were there.
If
But-
the other three boys were
Yeah,
involved
but
also?
not like just spending time with Bessman, no.
After he was, after you and Mr. James were broken up, did he ever bring Christmas gifts for the kids?
I don't remember him doing that, but I knew around Christmas or their birthdays, he would give me money to get them something.
Did he ever bring any gifts for Bessman?
I don't recall him doing that.
Did he ever do anything with Bessman, like sports or after-school activities or anything like that?
No.
Did he ever do that for any of the kids?
No, he would spend some time with them, but nothing like that.
Well, when you say spend some time with them, what
He
would you
would come over to the house and hang out with them.
come over and hang out?
Yes.
Did he ever pay any attention to Bessman when he did that?
Not like Bessman, no. Not like, no.
Did you, who is Trevor Sinclair?
My husband.
How long after you left Mr. James did you and Trevor Sinclair begin a relationship?
It was a while.
About how long?
I know over 5 years, maybe more than that. Over 5 years at least.
Over 5 years? All right. Was Trevor Sinclair living with you from the time the twins were, say, 1 or 2 years old?
No.
No? It was after that?
Was it? Yeah, they were older than that, yes.
How much older?
They were like, I'm guessing, they were big,
They were big?
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, they were older. They were older than 3 or 4. They were older than that.
Did Trevor Sinclair drink?
Yeah, he drink. Not alcoholic, but he drinks.
Not an alcoholic. Well, you wouldn't say he had an alcohol problem.
No,
All right. What does he drink?
beer.
I'm sorry?
Beer.
Beer. To clarify something, do you consider drinking beer to be drinking?
Yes.
You do? Have you ever said that he doesn't drink because he doesn't drink beer, and you don't count that.
Objection, improper impeachment. We need time, place, and persons present with prior statement.
I'm going to let her answer the question.
No, well, I think, let me say it like this. If you ask me the question again, I'm sorry.
Let me ask you this. Do you consider drinking beer to be the same thing as drinking liquor?
Yes,
You do?
I do.
Did he drink all the time?
Trevor?
Yes.
No, not to,
Did he drink beer every day?
no, not to my knowledge.
Not to your knowledge?
Trevor? No.
Right. How often?
I just basically see him drink to be social. Even now, he don't just drink beer.
Your voice is starting to drop.
Okay, I just noticed him to drink to be social, you know, but no.
Was Trevor abusive to you?
We used to fight, yes.
Okay. Did he used to beat you?
Yeah, we used to fight, yes.
Well, what do you mean by that? Did you,
Well, I was the type,
Start
you
fights with
hit
him?
me, I'm gonna hit you back.
say that again?
I say I was the type, if you hit me, I'm going to hit you back.
Okay. Who would start the fights between you and Trevor?
It had to be him because I don't like fighting.
Had to be him. Was that something that happened regularly?
It depends on what your definition of regular is.
Well, what's your definition? How
Okay.
often did you and he physically fight? How often did he physically hit you while you were together?
Maybe every 2 or 3 months.
Every 2 or 3 months? All right. Did you ever have him arrested for it?
Yes,
Did he go to jail?
yes.
How many times?
One that I know of.
Did you beat your children?
I wouldn't call it beating, but yeah, I whipped him.
You wouldn't call it beating?
I guess whatever the definition for beating is, but
Well, you used belts on them,
yes,
and you used extension cords,
yes,
right? And you used switches, right?
maybe, yes.
Did you used to make Bessman strip naked and stand against the wall so you could beat him on the back?
I could have. I don't recall that, but I could have.
You could have, and you don't recall it.
No.
Well, you got arrested for, did you get arrested for aggravated child abuse?
Yes.
Why did you get arrested for aggravated child abuse?
I think because I don't know, is it Bessman or one of my other children I whipped?
You don't remember?
No.
Is it possible it would refresh your memory to read the police reports?
Yes. I don't have a problem with that.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
You read that to yourself out loud as much as you need to hear the question.
I can't see.
Mr. Ryan, she's trying to say something to you.
I don't have my glasses. I can't see this.
I'm sorry.
I don't have my glasses. I can't see this.
Your other witness indicated she doesn't have her glasses and can't
You want me
read
to-
it, so. Oh, you have with reading, regular reading glasses?
Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
These aren't pretty. Try these. If you need a stronger pair, I think it's a stronger pair.
And all this time, I wasn't sure if you were just joking.
No, I've got sets up here.
Thank you, Judge.
Does that help you at all?
It does. Thank you.
And the style does wonders for you.
You know, the police report is about 8 or 9 pages. I don't know if council wants you to read the whole thing. If so, we might want to take a break. Does it take a few
I'm
minutes?
through.
Are you all done? Oh, okay.
Okay.
I just need to refresh my memory.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Anaku, she's apparently finished.
May I approach and take my copy back?
Oh,
You may.
Does that refresh your
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you remember now then why you were arrested for aggravated child abuse?
Yes.
What was that for?
My daughter and I had gotten into an altercation, and one thing led to another, and
And what happened?
well, we got into an altercation, and I spanked her and Bessman.
Is that all you remember? Did you hit Bessman with extension cords
Yes,
on his back?
yes,
And it caused scarring, didn't it?
yes,
And that's how you were found out.
yes,
And that was a completely separate incident from the one involving your daughter, wasn't it?
correct.
Did you hit your daughter in the face? Knock her glasses off?
Yes, I slapped her.
And you pulled her hair?
That's what the state, I don't recall that, but it's in the state.
Were you charged with crimes for doing those things?
Yes,
And were you convicted?
yes,
And were you put on probation?
yes,
When you were arrested for the aggravated child abuse on Bessman, were you taken away to jail?
yes.
How long were you in jail?
I didn't stay, I don't recall, I'm sorry.
Don't remember?
No, I didn't like stay. No,
Do you remember who watched the kids when you were in jail?
Trevor.
Trevor. Were you ordered for a time to stay away from the kids?
Yes,
Do you remember for how long that was?
I know it was months because I got an apartment.
You got an apartment separate from the children.
Yes,
Was beating the children with belts or extension cords a regular part of how you punished them?
yes,
Did you beat any of them more often than the others?
I think Bessman got a little more than the others.
Did you beat Bessman more severely than the others?
I wouldn't say severely more.
Did you
My opinion.
did you strip the other kids naked before you beat them?
No, I don't recall, I'm sorry.
Just Bessman?
Yeah, I don't recall that being all the time though, but yes.
Do you know, or did you know, an Arnie Jeffers?
Yes,
How did you meet Arnie Jeffers?
church,
What church was that?
the Way of Life Ministry,
I'm sorry?
the Way of Life Ministry.
Way of Life Ministry. And what was Mr. Jeffers in the church?
He was, I don't know what they called him in. He was like a mentor.
A mentor.
Yes.
How long did you know Mr. Jeffers?
Maybe about 2 years.
2 years? Did he spend time with your children?
Yes.
Did he live near you?
He didn't, yeah, he stayed close by.
How close?
It was walkable.
Walkable? Were there any particular of your children he spent more time with?
I would say Bessman because Bessman went to church.
What was your understanding of what Mr. Jeffers was doing with Bessman?
Well, it wasn't just him, it was other mentors also. But you mean him in particular?
Yeah, what did you say mentoring? What do you mean by that?
They would take them places. And just the goal was to teach them to how to be godly men.
To teach them how to be what?
Godly men.
Godly men?
Yeah, to walk upright and how to
Okay.
stay out of trouble. And if they needed, like something went on at school, if a father figure wasn't there, or even if the father figure was in the house and the father couldn't be at a program that it was being given or whatever, to be there for support.
Bessman never had a father figure in the home, did he?
Correct.
Were you hoping that Mr. Jeffers would be the father figure?
Well, not so much a father, but to teach him and to train him, I guess. Am I saying it right? Yeah, not so much to be his father.
Did you think that initially, at least, that Mr. Jeffers was being a mentor to Bessman?
Yes. And it wasn't just him, it was others in the church with him also. But him in particular, yes.
Did you find out that, in fact, Mr. Jeffers was sexually abusing Bessman?
Yes.
Objection, hearsay. There are police reports that I have no objection to admitting, but going into the details is hearsay.
Let's approach for a second. Please proceed.
Did you find out that Mr. Jeffers was sexually abusing Bessman?
Yes.
How did you find out about it initially?
My husband, Trevor.
Sinclair? Was that a yes? You gotta say your answers out loud. I know you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But the court reporter might not.
Yes.
Okay. And what can you describe how it was that he told you about it?
Ask me that again, I'm sorry.
Did he come and tell you one night while you were?
Okay, yes,
in bed?
okay. I didn't want to say it the wrong way. Yes, he came, and, cause it was at night, of course, and he came and he told me, and I'm like, what? So, but anyway,
No. You all didn't call the police right away, did you?
no,
Did you tell someone else at the church?
yes.
Who did you tell?
The pastor,
Remember his name?
Robert Welch,
Robert Welch. Who else did you tell at the church?
Nelson Cooper.
Okay. Who was he?
He's a head deacon. He was the head
Head
deacon.
deacon. Did you know at the time that he was also a police officer?
No,
You didn't know that?
No.
Okay. When you told Officer Cooper, what did he do, if you know?
I don't know. I don't.
Do you know how the police got involved?
Well, I did talk to the police about it.
Right. But do you know how they got involved initially?
I don't remember. No, I'm sorry.
Do you know whether it was based on Officer Cooper reporting it?
Okay, you know what? I can answer that now. It's coming. Yes, it was. Because before I would call the police, I wanted to let the church know. I didn't want them to be in the dark and say, what's this?
Okay.
So that's why I went to the church first.
And then the police actually came to you to get a report?
Correct.
All right. And that was what, a week later?
I don't think it was a week later.
Was it the same night?
No, it wasn't the same night.
Okay. Was Mr. Jeffers arrested?
Yes, I think he was. I'm sure it was.
You think he was?
I can't, I don't,
You had, did you have multiple communications with the state attorney's office?
yes.
Okay. Well, do you know of any way they would be involved if he wasn't arrested?
I don't know, yes, but I don't know when, okay, I'm saying it wrong. I don't know when they did. I don't recall, like if you say, was he arrested January 1st?
Okay, no, I'm not asking
Okay.
when, just whether you
Okay.
know he was arrested.
Yes,
And you know that the state attorney, did you know that the state attorney's office was prosecuting him?
yes.
Did you know how much time how much jail or prison time he was facing?
No,
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
May we approach, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. Objection sustained. Please proceed.
Did you communicate to the state attorney's office that you did not want Mr. Jeffers to go to jail?
I don't know if I said I didn't want to go to, well, I may have, yes.
Is there a reason you didn't want him to go to jail?
Because I didn't want Bessman's name out there.
Is there another reason?
No. Oh, well, and no, other than, no. Basically, it was, I didn't want Bessman's name out.
Weren't you worried about the effect it would have on Mr. Jeffers and his family?
Objection, leading.
Sustained. Just restate it.
Were you worried about the effect that him going to jail would have on Mr. Jeffers and his family?
Let me say it like this, I don't know if I can.
Ma'am,
but-
you need to get
Speak
closer
up.
to the microphone, please.
Wasn't the idea of Mr. Jeffers going to jail, it was, yes, his fiancee that they were about to be married. Yes, because like I said, she was close to me. I was considering her, but my main point was Bessman, because I didn't want it to get out. I didn't want it to be publicized about Bessman.
Were you concerned about Bessman knowing that this man who raped him was still out?
Objection, could we approach?
You may. The objection is sustained. The jury will disregard the last question in this matter.
Raising the last question, ma'am, were you concerned about Bessman knowing that the man who burglarized your home and committed a sex offense against him in his bedroom was still living down the street?
Was I concerned about that?
Right.
Your Honor, it assumes a fact, not an evidence, that the man was living down the street. I don't think we've heard
Overruled.
anything about that.
Go forward. She can answer.
Were you concerned about that?
No.
No? Did it occur to you that Bessman might be more comfortable if this man were in jail?
Objection assumes a fact, not an evidence, and speculation.
Her thought process is admissible. Overruled.
My objection is to the assumption of what Mr. Okafor thought, implied in the
Oh.
question.
I didn't know.
She's asking for her thought process. She can give her thought process, not Mr. Okafor's.
No, sir.
That didn't concern you. You were concerned about Mr. Jeffers' fiance.
Not totally, no. That I was concerned about Bessman was my first priority. That's what I was concerned about because, you know, children are malicious these days and I didn't want it to get out and he had to live with that. Or
The state attorney's office offered to have you get counseling for Bessman at no expense to you, right?
I'm not saying they didn't, but I don't recall.
You don't remember?
I'm not saying it didn't happen. I don't
get counseling for Bessman?
I don't think I did, no. I don't recall doing it, no.
Did you in fact offer to testify for the defense in that case, for Mr. Jeffers?
I don't recall it. I'm not saying I didn't, but I don't recall.
Your Honor, it's going to take me a few minutes to find some documents I need. I apologize. I just want to let you know.
That's okay. Let me see counsel for just a minute, just a scheduling timing issue. Folks, it's 11:15, and as you heard Mr. Anaku mention, he needs to look through some documents. I don't want to leave you sitting there, then have 5 minutes of testimony, and then release you to lunch. So I think we're going to go his release you to lunch right now. Mr. Anaku can use part of his lunch hour looking for those documents, and we won't waste your time on it. He's volunteered to do that. So we're going to send you to lunch, ask you to come back at 1:30 so we can start up again. You know where to meet the deputies. You know if you brought your lunch, where to eat. Again, please do not discuss this case with anybody. Do not discuss it amongst yourselves. There's press around the courthouse. Please do not talk with any of them or be in earshot of any of them, if you would, please. Do not do any research on the newspapers or look at any of the news in this matter or on the internet. We will see you at 1:30 back up here, and I guess Jeff will get you back at that time. Thank you all very much. Leave your pads on your chairs, please.
All rise for your judgment.
Ms. Sinclair, you are still under oath and you are still a witness, so we're going to release you, but do not be discussing the case at lunchtime, okay? All right, be very careful stepping down if you would, please. You want to hold on? Yeah, that's fine. You want to hold on to that side over there when you go down.
All right, thank you. We'll be recessed until 1:30.